So let's go on in this list. Well, the next word, tidings, a very ancient word, which you may still come across in Christmas carols, for example. Yeah? Tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Tidings, news, okay, that's news. And in German, the correspondence is Zeitung, yeah? Zeitung, which is the newspaper. And you see what happened. I mean, the original meaning being tidings as news, and then in German restricted to the very medium which distributes news. Okay, tidings, Zeitung. Okay, very second consonant shift here, High German. You see that. And the next one, because of its prominence on the internet. Okay, Tinder. Tinder. Most people don't know what it means. It means exactly what it means in German. Zunder. Zunder, it's something which ignites a fire. And how very appropriate a metaphor for this sort of internet dating thing. Yeah? Okay. Zunder. Tinder. Okay. It ignites the fire. All right. Tip. The tip is the very point, yeah, the tip of a stick or something like this, tip of a mountain, yeah, very up there. In German, Zipf, yeah, Zipf, the L, forget about this is a diminutive, okay, Zipf, tip, okay. In German, more thing which hangs a bit, and in English a bit straighter, but the idea is the same, more or less, and used in German, a lot of German dialects, for the male sexual organ, okay, Zipfel, metaphorically speaking, of course. The same is true for the next one, yeah, tit and zitze, okay, yeah. Tit and zitze, you see, zitze, yeah, High German, consonant shift, zitze, okay, no problem at all, tit. In English, in Low German, titte. And this is something you'll find very often, that the Low German word preserves, yeah, the original plosives and becomes vulgar. Okay, so titte versus zitze. Titte, vulgar for the female breast. Yeah, we are all grown-ups here. Zitze, the more general term for every mammal. Okay, all right, and tit in English, of course, mostly used for slangy purposes as well. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, the next one, deal and tile. Very regular, deal and tile. And the German part is the original meaning. So what happened? Well, we don't know. We can only guess. But deal has many meanings today, but the predominant being to deal cards, for example, something like this. So you have a quantity of something and you put it into small parts, which you then distribute, for example. Yeah, to deal out, to deal cards. To deal drugs, same thing. You have a quantity which you divide and then deal out. The original meaning still reverberates in no big deal, for example, some of this, not a big part. All right, yeah, but it's the same word, and you may guess how it came to acquire its modern meaning. Right, the next one. Dear, okay, teuer in German, expensive, okay, and again, the German being the original meaning, okay, you can still use dear in English as expensive. The car is too dear, I'm going to buy another one, which is being done, but usually, I mean, people would prefer expensive, but you can still use it. It depends on style. Okay, but the predominant meaning is, of course, my dear friend or something like this. And it's clear how it came to acquire that meaning. My cherished friend, something like, yeah. Letter, for example, yeah. My expensive friend, because you are expensive to me, yeah. Because so costly, yeah. My costly friend, probably that, something like this, okay. And then dear came to acquire the meaning it has, the predominant meaning it has today. By the way, darling, the same word. Darling is the one who is dear, who is expensive, costly. Okay, my darling. Okay, dearling and then darling. The next one I included just, to show you the workings of the second consonant shift. In German, yeah, Ross, which is horse, yeah, Ross and horse, same word, Ross, is not the word used for the equine animal anymore. It's Pferd, okay, which is a very ancient Latin borrowing. Paraveridus, which is a male horse in ancient Rome. You can see this. How sound changes work. Yeah? Paraveridus, Pferd, Pferd, yeah, and then the second consonant shift. So it must have been borrowed long before the second consonant shift. Pferd, Paraveridus, which doesn't have a correspondence in English. I just wanted to include that because it's such a good example. You want to explain the workings of historical phonology. Next one. Yeah, another Latin loanword. Tegula in Latin is tile. Tile, those things you need to cover your roof with. Okay, tiles. Well, or your bathroom. Something like that. Tiles. Okay, in German it's more restricted to the roof. Ziegel. Yeah, you see that. Ziegel. Tegula. Ziegel. And if you think, it has the second consonant shift, it's a Latin loanword. So it must have been borrowed from the Latin before the second consonant shift or the High German consonant shift set in, because otherwise you wouldn't have it. Okay? So before 500 or 600. And the Anglo-Saxons took it with them from the continent to England. So this is a Latin loanword which the Anglo-Saxons already brought in 449 to the British Isles. So it must have been borrowed before that. You see the drift, because it has a second consonant shift. Yeah, Ziegel, which if it had been borrowed, say something like around 1000, it wouldn't have it. It only has it because it was borrowed before the second consonant shift. And the English have it too, so tile, yeah, tegula. Ziegel, in German still the G is even preserved. Okay. All right, yeah, tegula. This is an example which has very often been referred to. Bead and Gebet. Yeah, bead, you see those, have a definition here, a small piece of solid material with a hole through it by which it can be strung on a thread. This is a definition. Okay, this is what it means today. Beads, small beads. You see the rosary there are beads on it. In German, Gebet, prayer. And the question is, what's the original meaning? Of course, prayer is. And there you see, how did this come about? I think it has a lot to do with the ambiguity of tell. Tell, which still can mean count or tell a story. Something like this. Speak out, tell. And it must have been something like people, tell one's, it must have meant something like tell one's prayers. Now, since people use the rosary to do that, tell one's prayers, okay, and people thought prayers when they didn't know the word anymore, those beads, that it referred to those things they move there, the rosary, beads. And it means to count. Then they understood it as to count one's beads, those small pieces of solid material. Okay, so it has to go through the rosary in order to acquire this modern meaning, which doesn't have anything to do with a prayer anymore. You see, it's a complete shift of meaning, complete different meaning, if you like. But you can explain it. Or it all comes down to a misunderstanding, I think, which has a lot to do with linguistic change. A lot of linguistic changes have to do with misunderstandings. Well, we come back to these issues. Okay, write and ritzen in German, Ritzen means to scratch, and this is true, for most of the words in any language which are used for writing, go back to something like which has to do with scratching, engraving, something like this, okay? Because this is what you did on a piece of stone. Here you see, a stone with a lot of Germanic runes scratched in it, carved in it, if you like. So write and ritzen, yeah. So it goes back to the same thing. German being the original meaning, of course, yeah. Ritzen, scratch. Rope and reif, okay. This time English is the original meaning, rope, okay. Reif, and then the rope must have turned into something like a ring, yeah, like thing, and then in German it means ring. Okay, and then misinterpreted in German as the ring where the boats are being strung to with a rope. Okay, but here English the original. Next one, very interesting. Shine and schön. Yeah, shining. Shining means something, if something is glamorous, if it's bright. Okay, in German it just means beautiful, the most general term of schön. Yeah, but there you see the English, the original meaning. Yeah, it's shining. It's glamour, glittering, something like this. And in German then, schön, beautiful in general. So it's a broadening of meaning. The next one, so and sehr. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, so in English more or less painful. Okay, painful. In English, sehr just means very. Okay, it's just this thing, sehr schön, sehr gut, sehr, yeah, something like this, which means you heighten its meaning. And the English being, of course, the original thing. Yeah, how beautiful it is painfully beautiful. Something like that. Sorely, yeah, sorely, sehr, yeah, painfully. And then in German it was hollowed out, and today it's just means very, which in English comes from the French. Yeah? Vrai, yeah? True. Okay, very good, truly good is what it means, although we are not aware of that anymore. Okay, others. Okay, lift and Luft, the same thing. If you lift something up, it goes into the air. Luft meaning air in German. Okay, German, the original meaning. Okay, lift means to get something into the air. Silly, selig, okay, selig, silly, yeah. Blessed, blessed, blessed are those poor in spirit, for they shall inherit the kingdom of the earth. Something like this, yeah, the Sermon on the Mount. And I was always wondering if there's a correspondence, okay, because there you have it. Blessed are those poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of the earth, or something like this. Okay, in Matthew. What must be behind that? Yeah, blessed. I mean, that the one who was a bit silly was also the blessed one. Okay, and then those two meanings got mixed up, and silly today just means a bit stupid, something like this. Silly. You have a similar development in French. Yeah, chrétien, the Christian, is the one who is a bit silly. The chrétien. But he is silly, but he's still a Christian. Okay, here's something like that. He's blessed, but he's a bit silly. Yeah, those two meanings often go together. Okay. I would like to stop here, and we'll go right on with worry in the next thing. Okay.